the warning. The council chamber floated in the darkness of space like a giant metal flower. Inside, representatives from 50 different alien species sat in a perfect circle. The air smelled of strange chemicals and recycled oxygen. At the center stood Commander Rek, his blue skin gleaming under the bright lights. "The humans must be stopped," Rek said, his voice echoing through the chamber. His forearms crossed over his chest in a gesture of absolute certainty. "They expand into our territories. They ignore our warnings. They act as if they belong here." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the council. The Talaxian Empire had ruled this sector for 3,000 years. No newcomer had ever challenged their authority and survived. High Chancellor Mora raised one thin hand for silence. Her species, the Velka, were known for their wisdom and patience. She had seen many empires rise and fall. "Commander Vrek, humanity has been in space for only 200 years. They are children. Why do you fear them?" "I do not fear them," Rek snapped. His eyes narrowed. "I question their arrogance. Last month, they refused to leave the outer rim. They said it was free space. Free space, as if laws written before their planet had cities mean nothing." Ambassador Cole sat quietly in the human section. He was an older man with gray hair and calm eyes. He had represented Earth for 15 years. He knew when to speak and when to listen. Right now, listening was smarter. "There is an ancient solution," said General Toran of the Brexid Collective. His voice was deep and rough like grinding stones. "The challenge. Any species may invoke it." The chamber fell silent. Even the floating record keepers stopped their movement. The challenge was old law, written when the galaxy was young and wild. Few species remembered it. Fewer still dared to use it. "Explain this challenge," Mora said carefully. She knew the law, but she wanted everyone to understand what they were discussing. Toran stood. His massive frame cast shadows across 3 other delegates. If a species is deemed too dangerous or too arrogant, another species may challenge them. 5 contests: combat, strategy, survival, wisdom, and honor. If the challenged species loses, they must abandon space travel for 500 years. If they win, he paused, they earn the right to exist among us as equals. "No one has ever won," Freck added with a sharp smile. "No one has ever returned," Cole finally spoke. His voice was quiet but clear. "That is because you killed them all." Every eye in the chamber turned to him. Freck's smile grew wider. "Prove that claim, human." "I do not need to prove it," Cole replied. He stood slowly, his old knees aching. "You just told us yourself. They never returned. Not to their homeworlds. Not to their colonies. They simply vanished after accepting your challenge. Either you killed them or you enslaved them. Either way, it is murder dressed as law." Mora's eyes flickered with something that might have been respect. "You speak boldly, Ambassador Cole." "I speak truth, Chancellor." Cole looked around the chamber. "But I also understand politics. You have already decided. This is not a discussion. This is a threat. You want humanity to accept your challenge, or you want an excuse to attack us." "Smart monkey," Rex said, his tone mocking. "Yes, we invoke the ancient challenge. 30 days from today, humanity will send its champions to the arena. If you refuse, we will consider it an admission of weakness. The Council will vote to remove you from space by force. And if we accept, then you will die like all the others, quietly, legally, with no one to blame but your own pride." Cole took a deep breath. This was the moment he had feared since arriving at the Council 15 years ago. Humanity was not ready for a war. They had good ships, but not enough of them. They had brave soldiers, but not enough training. The aliens had been fighting in space for thousands of years. Humans had barely left their solar system, but refusing meant war anyway. Immediate war. War they would certainly lose. "I will take your challenge to my government," Cole said. "Earth will respond within 3 days." 3 days, Rek agreed. "Use them well, human. Say goodbye to your families. Visit your monuments. Remember what your planet looked like when you could still reach the stars." The council session ended. As the delegates filed out, Cole remained in his seat. His assistant, a young woman named Lisa Grant, approached him carefully. "Sir, what do we do?" she whispered. Cole stared at the empty chamber. "We go home, Lisa, we tell them the truth. And then..." He stood slowly. "Then we show these ancient fools why humanity survived ice ages, plagues, and world wars. We show them what happens when you corner an animal that refuses to quit. You think we can win?" Cole smiled for the first time that day. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who knew a secret. Lisa, they made one critical mistake. They think we are like them. They think we have one way of fighting, one way of thinking. They have been in space for thousands of years, but they have forgotten the most important rule of survival. What rule, sir? Adapt or die. Cole walked toward the exit. And humans, Lisa, are very good at adapting. Earth's response. The shuttle broke through Earth's atmosphere 3 days later. Ambassador Cole watched through the window as blue oceans and green continents came into view. Home. He had been away for 6 months this time. Now he returned with news that could end everything humanity had built. The landing pad at Geneva was crowded. Military officers, government officials, and scientists waited in the cold morning air. At the front stood General Hayes, commander of Earth Defense Force. He was a tall man with sharp eyes and a jaw like carved stone. Next to him stood Dr. Emma Ross, head of the Strategic Research Division. She was small, barely 5 feet tall, with red hair tied in a simple knot. Cole stepped off the shuttle. No one spoke. They all knew why he had returned early. General, Doctor. Cole nodded to them both. We need to talk, privately. 30 minutes later, they sat in a conference room deep underground. The walls were thick concrete. No signals could enter or leave. On the table sat a single recording device. Cole pressed play. The council session appeared on the holographic display. They watched in silence as Freck made his threats. They heard the ancient law explained. They saw Cole's response. When it ended, General Hayes spoke first. 30 days. 27 now, Cole corrected. 3 days are gone. Can we refuse? Dr. Ross asked. Her voice was soft, but her eyes were sharp. Cole had worked with her before. She was the smartest person he had ever met. We can refuse, Cole said, but then they attack. The council will vote to remove us by force. They have 40 species. We have colonies on 6 worlds and mining stations on a dozen moons. We cannot win that war. Not yet. Hayes leaned back in his chair. So we accept. We send champions to this arena, and we die like all the others. Maybe, Cole said. Or maybe we do what humans do best, which is, we cheat, Cole smiled. Not break the rules. That would give them an excuse to attack anyway, but we find loopholes. We think differently. We surprise them. Dr. Ross leaned forward. Tell me about these 5 contests. What exactly are they? Cole pulled up his notes. Space combat, ground warfare, survival challenge, strategy simulation, and single combat. Each contest eliminates species that fail. If you lose any round, you are out. Only the final winner completes all 5. What do we know about past challenges? Almost nothing, Cole admitted. Records are sealed. But I did some research. He pulled up another file. In the last 1,000 years, 12 species were challenged. All 12 accepted. None returned. Their homeworlds were never attacked. They simply vanished. Hayes frowned. You think the council killed them all? I think the contests are designed to be unwinnable. The Talaxians, the Brexit, the Velka, they have been fighting in space for millennia. They know every trick, every strategy. How does a young species compete? By not playing their game, Dr. Ross said quietly. Both men turned to look at her. She was staring at the data with intense focus. They expect us to send soldiers. Big, strong, well-trained soldiers. They expect us to fight like they fight. And we should not? Hayes asked. No, we should fight like humans. She stood and walked to the display. Look at their species. Freck's people are strong but predictable. They value honor and direct combat. The Brexit are massive and powerful. The Velka are ancient and wise. Each species has optimized for one thing. Strength, size, intelligence, honor. So what is humanity's optimization? Cole asked. Dr. Ross smiled. We don't have one. That's our advantage. Humans are adaptable. We survive in deserts and ice. We eat almost anything. We learn languages, customs, technologies. We are not the strongest or the smartest or the fastest, but we are the most flexible. Hayes stood as well. You are saying we send a team that can adapt. Exactly. Not just soldiers. We need pilots who can think, engineers who can fight, scientists who can strategize. We build a team that can handle anything. Cole nodded slowly. It could work, but we need the best. And we need them ready in 27 days. I know who to send, Hayes said. He pulled up a list on his personal device. Captain Jake Stone, best pilot in the fleet. He flew relief missions during the Mars colony crisis. Stayed calm when everyone else panicked. I know Jake, Cole said. Good man. Who else? Lieutenant Maria Diaz, navigation specialist. She can calculate jump coordinates in her head. Found 3 new safe routes through the asteroid belt. Dr. Ross added names. Tech Officer Ben Wright. He once repaired a failing life support system using parts from a coffee maker. If something breaks, he can fix it. What about ground combat? Hayes asked. Sergeant Tom Rivers, Cole suggested. Survival expert. Trained in 6 different environments. He can find food and water anywhere. They continued building the team, each person chosen for multiple skills. No one was just a soldier or just a scientist. Everyone could adapt. By the end of the day, they had 12 names. Pilots, engineers, doctors, soldiers, strategists, all of them young. All of them smart. All of them willing to risk everything for humanity. We need to tell them, Hayes said. They deserve to know what they are facing. Agreed, Cole replied. Bring them here tomorrow. We have 26 days to train them. That night, Cole could not sleep. He stood on the balcony of his apartment and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Talaxians were preparing. They were confident. They expected an easy victory. Cole hoped they were wrong. He hoped humanity's ability to adapt would be enough. Because if it was not, Earth would be alone again. Cut off from the stars for 500 years. Everything they had built would be lost. But there was something the aliens did not understand. Something they could not understand because they had never lived on Earth. Humans did not quit. Ever. They climbed mountains because they were there. They sailed oceans because they were curious. They went to space because they dreamed of touching the stars. And when someone told them no, when someone said they were too weak or too young or too stupid, humans smiled and proved them wrong. Cole went back inside. He had work to do. The next morning, 12 people arrived at the underground facility. They came from different countries, different backgrounds, different lives. But they all shared one thing. When told that humanity needed champions, they all said yes without hesitation. Captain Jake Stone was the first to speak. He was 32 with dark hair and steady hands. Ambassador Cole, General Hayes, Dr. Ross, we all received the briefing. We know what you are asking. And? Hayes asked. Jake looked at his team. Maria Diaz nodded. Ben Wright gave a thumbs up. Tom Rivers just grinned. One by one, all 12 nodded. We are in, Jake said simply. Tell us what we need to do. Dr. Ross stepped forward. We have 26 days. We will train every day, all day. You will learn about the alien species, their strengths, their weaknesses, their culture. You will practice in simulators. You will study old battle records. And most importantly, you will learn to think like humans, not like aliens. What does that mean? Maria asked. Cole answered. It means when they expect aggression, you show patience. When they expect strength, you show intelligence. When they expect you to follow their rules, you find loopholes they never imagined. You do not try to beat them at their game. You change the game entirely. Ben raised his hand. What if we lose? Silence filled the room. It was the question everyone was thinking, but no one wanted to ask. Hayes answered honestly. If you lose, humanity loses access to space for 500 years. Earth will survive, but everything we have built out there will be gone. The colonies, the stations, the future we are building among the stars, all of it ends. No pressure then, Tom muttered. A few people laughed nervously. Jake spoke again, his voice serious. We won't let that happen. We can't let that happen. So let's get to work. For the next 26 days, the team trained harder than they had ever trained in their lives. They learned. They practiced. They adapted. And in orbit above Earth, the transport ship waited. Soon it would carry them to the arena, to face species that had conquered the galaxy while humans still lived in caves. But the aliens had made one mistake. They had challenged humanity. And humanity never backed down from a challenge. The arena floated in neutral space far from any star system. It was massive, larger than Earth's moon. Ancient metal walls stretched for miles in every direction. Viewing platforms surrounded the central combat zones like petals on a deadly flower. Thousands of alien ships filled the space around it, all gathered to watch humanity fail. Captain Jake Stone stood on the bridge of the human transport ship, the Defender. Through the window he could see the arena growing closer. His team stood behind him, silent and tense. It is bigger than the simulation showed, Maria said quietly. Everything about this is bigger than we expected, Ben replied. He checked his equipment for the 10th time. His hands were steady, but Jake could see the worry in his eyes. "Stay focused," Jake said. "Remember what Dr. Ross taught us. They expect us to be afraid. They expect us to make mistakes. We do not give them what they expect." The communication system crackled to life. A voice spoke in perfect English, cold and formal. "Human vessel defender, you are cleared for docking. Bay 17. Your crew will disembark and proceed to the preparation chambers. The first contest begins in 2 hours." "Acknowledged," Jake replied. He turned to his team. "This is it. Everyone ready?" 12 heads nodded. They wore simple gray uniforms with the Earth Defense Force symbol on the shoulder. No weapons, no armor. The rules were clear. They would receive equipment only when each contest began. The Defender docked smoothly. The team walked through cold metal corridors toward the preparation chambers. Aliens lined the hallways, watching them pass. Some pointed. Some laughed. A few looked curious. Tom leaned close to Jake. "They think we are a joke." "Good," Jake whispered back. "Let them think that." The preparation chamber was a large circular room with 12 small sleeping pods and a central strategy table. On the table sat a holographic display showing the 5 contest zones. Zone 1, Space Combat Arena. A vast empty sector filled with asteroids and debris. Ships would fight in 3-dimensional combat. Zone 2, Ground Warfare Field. An artificial planet surface with varied terrain. Mountains, forests, deserts, and urban ruins. Zone 3, Survival Challenge. A sealed environment with limited resources. Teams must survive for 72 hours. Zone 4, Strategy Simulation. A complex wargame played on computers. Pure tactical thinking. Zone 5, Single Combat Arena. 1 champion from each species. Hand-to-hand combat until surrender or unconsciousness. Only 5 species made it to Zone 5 last time. Maria read from the historical data Dr. Ross had provided. The Talaxians won. Before that, the Brexit won 3 times in a row. "Because they are huge and strong," Ben said. "How do we beat someone 3 times our size?" "We do not fight them in Zone 5, Jake said. "We beat them before we get there." The door opened. Commander Vrek entered, flanked by 6 Talaxian guards. His blue skin seemed to glow in the dim light. 4 arms crossed over his broad chest. He looked at the humans with obvious contempt. "So these are Earth's champions," Vrek said. He walked slowly around the team, studying each person. "Small, weak, young. You are children playing at war." Jake met his gaze calmly. "We are here. That is what matters." Vrek stopped in front of Jake. He was taller by 2 feet. His muscles were like carved stone. "I have fought in 17 campaigns. I have conquered 6 star systems. I have killed warriors twice your size with my bare hands. What have you done, human?" "I survived," Jake said simply. "My species survived. We crawled out of caves and built cities. We survived diseases that killed millions. We survived wars that burned our world. We survived because we adapt. Because we never quit. You may be stronger, Commander. You may have more experience. But you have never fought anyone like us." For a moment, something flickered in Rek's eyes. Surprise, maybe, or doubt. Then his expression hardened again. "Brave words. Let us see if you can back them up." He turned to leave, then paused. "The first contest begins in 1 hour. Space combat. You will face my pilots. They have trained for this their entire lives. You will lose in minutes." When Rek left, the team gathered around the strategy table. Jake pulled up the space combat zone details. 1 hour, he said. "Maria, what are the zone's dimensions?" Maria's fingers moved quickly across the display. 50 kilometers cubed. Approximately 3,000 asteroids of various sizes. Debris field in the western sector from an old ship graveyard. "No gravity wells. No radiation hazards, weapons?" Tom asked. "Each ship gets standard plasma cannons and missile launchers. Shields rated for medium combat. No capital ship weapons allowed." Ben studied the ship specifications. Their ships are faster and have stronger shields. "On paper, we cannot win a direct fight." "Then we do not fight directly," Jake said. He zoomed in on the debris field. "Look here. Old ships. Unstable metal. If we can lure them into this area." "The debris will interfere with their sensors," Maria finished. "They will have to rely on visual targeting." "Which is harder in 3-dimensional space," Ben added. "Especially if we stay close to the larger asteroids." Jake smiled. "Exactly. They expect us to engage them in open space, ship to ship, cannon to cannon. We do not give them that fight. We use the environment. We make them chase us. We make them angry. And angry pilots make mistakes, Tom said. For the next 45 minutes they planned. They studied the terrain. They calculated angles and approach vectors. They prepared for a dozen different scenarios. When the call came, they were ready. The team boarded their ship, a sleek fighter called the Phoenix. It was smaller than the Talaxian cruisers, but more maneuverable. Jake took the pilot seat. Maria handled navigation. Ben managed systems and weapons. The others monitored sensors and communications. The Phoenix launched into the combat zone. Immediately, 3 Talaxian ships appeared on sensors. They were larger, heavily armored, bristling with weapons. 3 against 1, Maria said. Fair odds. For them, Jake replied. He pushed the throttle forward. The Phoenix shot toward the debris field. The Talaxian ships pursued. Their commander's voice came over the open channel. Running already, humans? I expected cowardice, but not so quickly. Jake did not respond. He focused on flying. The debris field grew closer. Asteroids tumbled slowly in the zero gravity. Chunks of old metal drifted like deadly clouds. They are gaining, Ben warned. 10 seconds to weapons range. Good, Jake said. He waited 5 seconds. 3 seconds. 1 second. Then he cut power completely and fired reverse thrusters. The Phoenix stopped dead in space. The Talaxian ships moving at full speed shot past them. Now, Jake shouted. Ben fired missiles. Not at the ships, but at the asteroids around them. The explosion sent massive rocks tumbling into the Talaxians' path. 2 ships swerved violently. The third was too slow. An asteroid the size of a bus smashed into its shields. Alarms blared. Jake powered up again and dove into the debris field. The Phoenix twisted and turned between asteroids. The Talaxian ships followed, but they were too large, too fast. They could not maneuver as quickly. Lead them deeper, Maria said, her eyes on the navigation display. Toward the graveyard. Jake nodded. He flew between 2 asteroids with barely a meter of clearance on each side. Behind them, 1 Talaxian ship tried to follow. Its shield scraped against rock. Sparks flew. They reached the old ship graveyard. Hulks of ancient vessels floated in the darkness, their metal twisted and broken. Jake flew through a massive hole in a derelict carrier. The Talaxian ships hesitated. Cowards, their commander screamed. Face us in open combat! Why? Jake said calmly, finally responding. This is combat. We are just fighting smart, not hard. He brought the Phoenix around behind a large wreck and waited. The sensors showed the Talaxian ships spreading out, trying to surround the debris field. Ben, can you create a sensor echo? Jake asked. Using what? The wrecks. If you fire low-power shots at the metal, it will heat up. Their sensors might think it is our engines, Ben grinned. I love the way you think. He fired carefully placed shots at 3 different wrecks. Each one began radiating heat. On the Talaxian sensors, it looked like 3 human ships were hiding in different locations. Their formation broke apart as they moved to investigate. Now they are separated, Maria said. 3 individual targets instead of a coordinated team. Jake accelerated hard. The Phoenix burst from cover and targeted the closest Talaxian ship. The pilot, focused on the false sensor reading, did not notice them until too late. Ben's missiles struck the ship's rear shields. They flickered and died. 1 disabled, Ben reported. The other 2 Talaxian ships turned, but Jake was already moving. He led them on a chase through the graveyard, using every wreck as cover. The Talaxians fired constantly, but their shots hit only metal debris. Finally, Jake saw his opportunity. A massive derelict battleship floated ahead. Its hull cracked open from some ancient battle. He flew straight toward it. Jake, that is a dead end, Maria warned. Trust me. At the last possible second, Jake dove into the crack in the hull. The Phoenix barely fit. Metal scraped against their shields. Behind them, a Talaxian ship tried to follow. It was too large. The ship wedged into the crack and stuck fast. Its engine screamed as it tried to pull free. 2 down, Tom said. 1 to go. The last Talaxian ship was cautious now. Its pilot had seen what happened to the others. He hung back, trying to lock onto the Phoenix from a distance. Jake flew into open space away from the debris. The Talaxian pilot smiled, thinking the human was finally giving him a fair fight. But Jake was not running. He was calculating. Maria fed him numbers, trajectory, speed, timing. Ready? Jake asked. Ready, Maria confirmed. Jake cut all power again and rotated the Phoenix to face the approaching Talaxian ship. For a moment, they drifted dead in space. The Talaxian fired. A full missile salvo. 12 projectiles screamed toward the Phoenix. At the last instant, Jake fired every thruster at once. The Phoenix shot straight up relative to the plane of combat. The missiles, locked on their last known position, continued forward, straight into the massive asteroid that Jake had been carefully drifting toward for the last 2 minutes. The asteroid exploded. Fragments flew in every direction. The Talaxian ship, too close to dodge, took dozens of impacts. Its shields collapsed. Its hull cracked. Emergency lights flickered. Match over, the arena's computer voice announced. Human team advances to Zone 2. Silence filled the communication channels. In the viewing platforms above, thousands of aliens stared in shock. The humans had won. In 12 minutes, they had defeated 3 experienced Talaxian pilots. As the Phoenix returned to dock, Rex's voice came over a private channel. It was tight with barely controlled rage. You did not fight with honor, Jake responded calmly. No, we fought to win. There is a difference, Commander. You should learn it. The turning point, the preparation chamber, felt different now. Word of humanity's victory in Zone 1 had spread through the arena like wildfire. When the team returned, the aliens in the corridors no longer laughed. They stared with a mixture of confusion and concern. Some even stepped aside to let the humans pass. Jake gathered his team around the strategy table. They had 2 hours before Zone 2 began. Ground warfare. The contest where brute strength usually won. They will adjust their tactics, Maria said, studying the Zone 2 terrain map. They know now that we think differently. Good, Jake replied. Let them worry. Let them second guess. Doubt is a weapon, too. The holographic display showed a varied landscape, mountains in the north, dense forest in the east, desert in the south, and ruined city structures in the west. Each team would start at opposite corners with basic weapons and supplies. The objective was simple: eliminate the enemy team or capture their base. Ben pulled up data on their opponents. The Brexit Collective. They won this zone in the last 4 challenges. Their soldiers are 8 feet tall and can carry equipment twice their body weight. They use overwhelming force and direct assault tactics. Tom examined the weapon specifications. We get basic rifles, grenades, and communication gear. Same as them. But their rifles will look like pistols in their hands. Our rifles will be hard to aim and fire. Then we do not rely on rifles, Jake said. He zoomed in on the forested area. Look at this terrain. Dense trees. Limited sight lines. Poor footing. Their size becomes a disadvantage here. Hit and run tactics? Maria asked. Exactly. We split into 3 teams. Team Alpha draws them into the forest. Team Bravo sets traps. Team Charlie infiltrates their base while they are distracted. That is risky, Ben said. If any team gets caught alone, the Brexit will crush them. Which is why we do not get caught. Jake looked at each team member. We stay mobile. We stay quiet. We make them chase shadows. Dr. Ross had sent them one final message before the challenge. Jake played it now on the central screen. Her face appeared, tired but determined. Remember, she said, the Brexit have evolved for strength. Everything about their culture values power and direct confrontation. Use that against them. Make them angry. Make them chase. Angry warriors make fatal mistakes. You have something they do not have. The ability to adapt your strategy in real time. Trust each other. Trust your training. And remember, you are not just fighting for yourselves. You are fighting for every human who ever looked up at the stars and dreamed. The message ended. Silence filled the room. Well, Tom said finally, no pressure. Despite the tension, several team members smiled. It was a human thing. Finding humor in dark moments. The aliens would never understand it. The call came. Time to enter Zone 2. The team materialized in the southern desert region. Heat shimmered off the sand. The sun blazed overhead, artificial but painfully bright. Each person carried a rifle, a sidearm, grenades, and a communication headset. Spread out, Jake ordered.
Alpha team with me.
Maria, take Bravo west into the forest approach. Tom, lead Charlie north through the mountains. Stay low, stay quiet. Check in every 10 minutes. The team separated. Jake led his group toward the forest edge. Through his scope, he could see the Brexit starting position in the north. Already they were moving. A direct assault formation, 8 massive soldiers in 2 columns advancing across open ground. Just like the simulations predicted. Jake muttered. They do not even try to hide. His communication headset crackled. Alpha, this is Bravo. In position at grid reference 7-4. Setting traps now. Copy that. Charlie, report. Charlie here, Tom's voice replied, moving through the mountain pass. Visibility good? No contact yet. Jake watched the Brexit advance. They were fast despite their size. In an hour, they would reach the forest. He needed them angry before that. Alpha to Bravo. Fire one ranging shot. Make it obvious. I want them to know where you are. Copy. A single rifle shot echoed across the valley. The bullet hit the sand 50 meters in front of the Brexit formation. It was a terrible shot. Intentionally terrible. The Brexit stopped. Their commander, a massive warrior named Grak, raised one arm. His voice boomed across the open channel. Humans, your marksmanship is pathetic. Face us with honor. Jake smiled. He switched to the open channel. Sorry, Commander Grak, my soldier is new. Still learning. Maybe you should walk slower so we can aim better? Rage filled Grak's response. Cowards. You hide and mock us. The Brexit Collective does not hide. We fight face to face. That explains why you keep losing planets to the Velka, Jake replied casually. They just wait for you to charge in straight lines. It was an insult and a historical fact. 20 years ago, the Velka had taken 3 Brexit colonies using exactly that strategy. Every alien species knew about it. It was the Brexit's greatest shame. You dare, Grak screamed. All units, double time. Kill every human. The Brexit formation broke. They charged forward at full speed, abandoning their organized approach. Discipline shattered by anger. Got them, Jake said quietly. Bravo, fall back to secondary position. Lead them into the forest, copy. Moving now. Maria's team retreated carefully, firing occasional shots to keep the Brexit's attention. The massive warriors crashed through the desert and into the forest edge. Trees that would provide cover for humans barely slowed the Brexit down. They smashed through branches and undergrowth like it was paper. But the forest floor was different. Roots twisted across the ground. Hidden holes and soft dirt made footing uncertain. The Brexit's weight worked against them. One warrior stumbled and fell. Another had to slow down to navigate between trees. Now, Jake ordered. Bravo team triggered their traps. Simple devices made from grenades and tripwires, not meant to kill but to confuse and disorient. Explosions erupted throughout the forest. Trees fell. Smoke filled the air. The Brexit formation scattered. Warriors shouted to each other trying to regroup. But they could not see more than a few meters in any direction. Human-sized shapes moved through the smoke. Fast. Silent. A Brexit warrior turned and fired, but hit only trees. Another felt something hit his leg. He looked down to see a stun grenade attached to his armor. It detonated. He collapsed unconscious. Bravo to Alpha, 4 targets down. Breaking contact and moving to position 3. Good work. Charlie, status? Almost at their base, Tom replied. 2 guards visible. They look nervous. I think they expected their main force to return by now. Wait for my signal. Jake watched from his elevated position. The Brexit were regrouping slowly, pulling their stunned warriors back. Grak was screaming orders trying to restore order, but half his force was scattered or unconscious. All teams execute Phase 2. Alpha team moved forward, firing from concealed positions. Not to kill, but to harass. Bullets pinged off Brexit armor. Grenades exploded in the distance. The massive warriors returned fire, but they were shooting at ghosts. At the Brexit base, Tom's team moved. The 2 guards were focused on the battle sounds in the forest. They never saw the humans approach from behind. Stun grenades dropped both warriors before they could sound an alarm. Charlie to Alpha. Base secured. Planting the flag now. Match over, the arena's computer announced. Human team captures enemy base. Humans advance to Zone 3. In the forest, Grak stood frozen, his weapon lowered. Around him, his warriors looked confused. They had been defeated without ever truly engaging the enemy. The humans had been ghosts, striking from shadows and disappearing. How? Grak asked over the open channel. His voice was no longer angry, just confused. We are stronger, better armed, more experienced. How did you win? Jake approached carefully, his rifle lowered. Because you fought the battle you wanted to fight, Commander. We fought the battle that existed. You charged in straight lines. We used the terrain. You valued honor over victory. We valued our lives over pride. This is not how warriors fight. No, Jake agreed. This is how humans fight, and humans survive. The teams returned to the preparation chamber. 2 victories. 2 zones completed. The aliens were no longer dismissing humanity as weak newcomers. In the viewing platforms, debates raged. How were these small creatures winning? What tricks were they using? But there were no tricks. Just adaptation. Just creativity. Just the accumulated wisdom of a species that had survived by thinking rather than by being strong or fast or large. Zone 3 was next. The survival challenge. 72 hours in a sealed environment with limited resources. Teams from 6 species would compete. Only 3 would advance. This one is different, Maria said, studying the parameters. It is not about fighting. It is about lasting longer than everyone else. Which means other teams will try to sabotage each other. Ben added, if they eliminate us early, they have a better chance. Jake nodded. So we do not give them a target. We find shelter. We secure resources. We defend without aggression. We outlast them all. The preparation chamber's door opened. Instead of Commander Vrek or Grak, a different alien entered. She was tall and thin with silver skin and large dark eyes. Avelka. The wise ones. Ambassador Tira, Jake said, recognizing her from the council footage. An honor. Tira studied the humans carefully. 2 victories, impressive. The council is concerned. Because we are winning? Because you are surviving. Tira moved closer. Her voice dropped to barely a whisper. No species has ever won 2 zones. Most lose in Zone 1. A few reach Zone 2, none have gone further. Why are you telling us this? Tira's dark eyes met Jake's. Because something is wrong. 12 species challenged. 12 species vanished. Now you are here winning against impossible odds. The council did not expect this. Some members are calling for rule changes. Others want to disqualify you on technicalities. That would start a war, Jake said. Yes, which is why I am here. To warn you, Zone 3 will not be fair. The other species will receive extra resources. The environment will be calibrated against human tolerances. They will do everything legally possible to ensure you fail. Why help us? Tira was silent for a moment. Because I am old. I have lived 300 years. I have seen empires rise and fall. And I have learned one thing. Species that adapt survive. Species that do not fade away. The council has grown comfortable. Arrogant. You remind them that they are not invincible. That frightens them. But it also excites me. I want to see if you can truly survive. She turned to leave, then paused. One more thing. If you reach Zone 5, refuse to kill your opponent. That is how all the others died. They won every zone, reached single combat, defeated their opponent, and then the council declared them too dangerous and eliminated them. Show mercy, Captain Stone. It may be the only thing that saves you. Then she was gone, leaving the team in stunned silence. She just told us the entire challenge is rigged, Maria said quietly. Yes, Jake replied. She did. So what do we do? Jake looked at his team. Tired, worried, but still determined. Still ready. We do what we always do. We adapt, we survive, and we show them that humanity cannot be beaten by playing fair or by cheating. We are too stubborn to quit, Tom grinned. Plus, we have a secret weapon. What is that? We have been dealing with unfair situations our entire history. This is just Tuesday for humanity. Despite everything, the team laughed. In 2 hours, they would enter Zone 3, the survival challenge, where the environment itself would be their enemy. But they were human. And humans had survived ice ages, deserts, jungles, oceans, and the vacuum of space itself. What was one more challenge? The truth revealed Zone 3 was a nightmare environment. The sealed dome stretched for 5 kilometers in every direction. The temperature fluctuated wildly from freezing cold to scorching heat every 6 hours. The air was thin, barely enough oxygen. Water sources were scarce and contaminated. Edible plants were hidden among dozens of poisonous varieties. 6 teams materialized at different starting points. The humans appeared in a rocky wasteland with no shelter and no visible resources. Around them, the other species had better starting positions. The Krail near a water source, the Vorn in a cave system, the Drevik near edible plants. Just like Ambassador Tira warned, Maria said, checking her equipment. They put us in the worst spot. Jake surveyed their surroundings. Rocks, sand, and dying vegetation. The artificial sun blazed overhead. They had 72 hours to survive. Other teams would try to eliminate them. The environment itself would try to kill them. First priority is shelter, Jake said. Tom, you are our survival expert. What do we need? Tom knelt and examined the ground. Shade, water, food, in that order. We can last 3 hours in this heat without shade, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food. The caves are occupied, Ben said, looking at his scanner. The Vorn have taken them and are fortifying the entrance. Then we make our own shelter. Jake pointed to a cluster of large rocks. There. We can create shade and defensible position. Move quickly before the heat gets worse. The team worked fast. They used their emergency blankets to create a reflective canopy between the rocks. It would not be comfortable, but it would keep them alive. While half the team built shelter, the others scouted for water. Maria found it first. A small underground spring, barely a trickle. The water was murky and smelled strange. Contaminated, she said. We need to purify it. Use the emergency filters, Jake ordered. Slow process, but it will work. Ben set up a collection system.
Anything we can get. Hours passed.
The heat intensified. On the scanners, they could see other teams moving. The Krail were hunting. The Drevek were gathering resources aggressively. The Vorn stayed in their caves. Then the first attack came. Not from another team, but from the environment itself. The scanners detected movement. Large movement, what is that? Maria asked. Through the heat shimmer, they saw it. A massive creature, clearly artificial, designed to test the teams. It had 6 legs, armored plating, and mandibles that could crush steel. The arena had released predators into the environment. New rule, Ben said, checking his datapad. Just announced. Predators are now part of the challenge. Teams must survive them as well as each other. Of course they did, Tom muttered. Cannot let the humans win too easily. The creature was heading toward their position. Jake made a quick decision. Do not engage. It is tracking heat signatures. When the temperature drops in 3 hours, it will leave. And if it does not, Maria asked, then we lead it to the Krail. They have been hunting us. Let them deal with it. The team waited in their shelter. The creature prowled outside, its sensors sweeping back and forth. It could not fit between the rocks. After an hour, it grew frustrated and moved on, heading toward the water source where the Krail had established their base. Screams echoed across the dome. The Krail had engaged the creature. Weapons fire, roars, then silence. Krail eliminated, the arena computer announced. 5 teams remaining. Night fell. The temperature dropped rapidly from scorching to freezing. The team huddled together for warmth. They had secured water, minimal food, and adequate shelter. Day 1 complete. How are the other teams doing? Jake asked. Ben checked his scanner. The Vorn are secure in their caves but running low on water. The Drevek have good resources but poor shelter. They are suffering from the cold. The Corvin and the Melkot are both struggling. We just need to outlast 3 of them, Maria said. 2 more days, but the second day brought new challenges. The arena released toxic gas into certain areas. Teams had to relocate or suffocate. The Drevek, caught in the open, were forced to abandon their resource cache. They tried to take the caves from the Vorn. The battle was brief and brutal. The Drevek lost, Drevek eliminated. 4 teams remaining. The humans stayed mobile. When gas approached their area, they moved to higher ground. They conserved energy. They rationed water carefully. They worked together with quiet efficiency. On their scanners, they watched the Corvin make a mistake. They attacked the Vorn caves thinking the occupants were weak, but the Vorn had set traps. The Corvin triggered them and were buried in a cave collapse. Corvin eliminated. 3 teams remaining. Only the humans, the Vorn, and the Melkot remained. The rules stated that 3 teams would advance to Zone 4. All they had to do was survive 12 more hours. But the arena had other plans. A new announcement came. Rule modification. Only 2 teams will advance from Zone 3. Eliminations may occur through combat or withdrawal. Teams have 6 hours to decide. Jake slammed his fist against the rock. They are forcing a confrontation. They cannot let us advance without fighting. The Vorn are strong, Tom said, heavily armed and protected. The Melkot are smaller but fast. If we fight either team, we risk casualties. We do not fight, Jake said. He was thinking, calculating. We negotiate. Negotiate? Maria looked surprised. With who? Both of them. Jake switched his communicator to an open channel. This is Captain Jake Stone of the human team. I'm broadcasting to the Vorn and Melkot. I have a proposal. Silence. Then a harsh voice responded. This is Commander Herrick of the Vorn. We do not negotiate with prey. A softer voice followed. This is Leader Civics of the Melcot. We listen. Speak, human. The arena wants us to fight each other, Jake said. To eliminate one team so only two advance. But there is another option. We all withdraw. We refuse to fight. The arena cannot eliminate all of us without violating their own rules. You propose we all quit? Herrick sounded offended. The Vorn do not surrender. It is not surrender. It is refusing to play their game. They modified the rules to force conflict. That modification violates the original challenge parameters. If we all protest together, they have to acknowledge it. And if they do not, Civics asked carefully, then we are in the same position as now. But if we fight each other, one team definitely loses. This way maybe we all advance. Long silence. Jake waited. His team watched him with a mixture of hope and doubt. Finally, Civics spoke. The Melcot agree. We refuse to fight. Vorn do not hide behind legal tricks, Herrick shouted. But his voice was uncertain. We fight with honor. Commander, Jake said quietly, is there honor in being manipulated? The arena changed the rules mid-challenge. They want us to destroy each other. Do not give them what they want. Show them the Vorn cannot be controlled. Another long pause. Then, grudgingly, Vorn, agree. We withdraw protest. All three teams withdraw in protest, Jake announced on the official channel. We refuse the modified rules. Chaos erupted in the viewing platforms. Aliens shouted and argued. This had never happened before. Challenged species always fought. Always eliminated each other. The council convened an emergency session. For 2 hours, the three teams waited in Zone 3. No attacks came. No announcements. Just silence. Finally, High Chancellor Mora's voice filled the dome. The council has deliberated. The rule modification is rescinded. Original parameters restored. 3 teams advance to Zone 4. Victory, but not through combat. Through cooperation. Through refusing to be manipulated. The teams materialized back in their preparation chambers. Jake's team collapsed in exhaustion. They had survived 3 zones. Only 2 remained. Zone 4 was next. Strategy simulation. Pure tactical thinking played on computers. This zone eliminated species through intellectual competition, not physical. But Jake was not worried about Zone 4. He was worried about what Ambassador Tira had said. Zone 5, single combat, where all the previous species had died. The preparation chamber door opened. Commander Vrek entered, but he looked different now. Less confident. More wary. 3 zones, Vrek said quietly. No species has ever advanced this far. We are not like other species, Jake replied. I see that now. Vrek moved closer. The council is divided. Some want to honor the ancient law. Others want to stop you by any means necessary. Zone 4 will proceed fairly, but Zone 5, and he paused. If you reach Zone 5, be careful. Very careful. You sound like you want us to win. I sound like a warrior who recognizes when he underestimated his enemy. Vrek straightened. You fight dishonorably. You use tricks and deceptions. You refuse direct combat. Everything I was taught says you are cowards. He met Jake's eyes. But you survive. You adapt. You protect your team, perhaps. Perhaps there is honor in that too. A different kind of honor. Vrek left without another word. Zone 4 began the next day. The strategy simulation was complex. Multiple virtual fleets, planets, resources, and objectives. Each team competed separately and their scores were compared. The humans approached it like they approached everything else. They studied the parameters. They found patterns. They did not try to win through overwhelming force. They won through efficiency, through creative solutions, through thinking 10 steps ahead. When the results appeared, the humans had the highest score, not by a little, by a massive margin. They had found approaches that the simulation designers never anticipated. Human team advances to Zone 5. Only one challenge remained. Single combat. 1 champion from the human team against 1 champion from the Talaxian Empire. Commander Vrek had volunteered personally. The team gathered to choose their champion. Tom was the strongest. Ben was the fastest. Jake was the most experienced. But Jake looked at Dr. Emma Ross. She had been with them since the beginning, advising, planning, calculating. She was small, barely 5 feet tall. She had no combat training. She was a scientist, not a warrior. Emma, Jake said, it has to be you. The team stared at him in shock. Jake, she cannot fight Vrek. Maria protested. "He will kill her in seconds." "No," Jake said slowly, understanding flooding through him. "He will not. Because Emma is not going to fight like a warrior. She is going to fight like a human." Emma understood immediately. She smiled. "I need access to all of Rek's combat records. Every fight he has ever been in. I need 12 hours to study them." "You will have it," Jake promised. The final day arrived. The arena was packed, every viewing platform filled. Millions of aliens across the galaxy watched on broadcasts. This was history. Either humanity would earn its place among the stars, or it would be eliminated forever. The combat arena was simple. A circular platform 50 meters across. No weapons, no armor. Just two individuals. Commander Rek entered first. Forearms, massive frame, covered in scars from 100 battles. The crowd roared approval. Then Emma entered. The crowd fell silent, confused. Many thought it was a mistake. This small human female against the greatest Talaxian warrior. Vrek looked down at her. For the first time, doubt crossed his face. This is their champion? This is an insult. This is strategy, Emma replied calmly. Something you are about to learn. The match began. Vrek attacked immediately, using his superior reach and strength. But Emma was not there. She moved before he struck, reading his body language. Every warrior had patterns, habits, tells. Emma had studied 300 hours of Rek's combat footage. She knew how he thought, how he moved, how he reacted to every situation. Rek swung again. Emma ducked under his arm and stepped to the side. He turned to face her. She was already moving. He tried to grab her. She rolled away. "Fight me," Vrek roared. "I am fighting," Emma said. "Just not the way you expect." For 20 minutes they danced. Vrek attacked with increasing frustration. Emma evaded with calculated precision. She never struck back. Never engaged. Just avoided and observed. Vrek began to tire. Forearms meant more muscle, but also more oxygen consumption. The thin arena air was calibrated for humans, not Talaxians. Every massive swing used energy he could not replace. Emma waited. Patient. Calculating. When Rek's movements slowed by 12%, she acted. She did not punch or kick. She simply stepped into his attack, used his own momentum, and guided him off balance. Vrek stumbled, fell. His exhaustion made him clumsy. Emma stood over him, her hand extended. Not to strike, to help him up. "Yield," she said quietly. "Please yield with honor." Vrek stared at her hand. The crowd was absolutely silent. In Talaxian culture, helping a fallen enemy was the greatest sign of respect. It acknowledged them as worthy, as equal. Slowly, Rek reached up and took her hand. "I yield," the crowd erupted. But not in anger. In shock, in wonder, in something that might have been respect. Match complete, the arena computer announced. Human team victorious. All 5 zones completed. High Chancellor Mora descended to the arena floor. Her face was unreadable. "Captain Stone, you and your champion will come with me. The council will deliberate." Jake and Emma followed her to the council chambers. The circular room was packed. 50 species represented, all eyes on the 2 humans. "You have won," Mora said. "According to the ancient law, humanity has earned the right to exist among us as equals." "But?" Jake asked. He knew there was more. "But some council members believe you are too dangerous, that your adaptability, your unpredictability makes you a threat. They want to invoke the elimination clause, the one that has been used on every species that reached Zone 5. "The clause that kills winners," Jake said. Not a question. A statement. Mora nodded slowly. "You were supposed to kill Commander Vrek. All previous champions did. They won with violence. We eliminated them for being too violent. But you won with mercy. You showed restraint, wisdom. This is unprecedented. What happens now?" Mora looked around the chamber. "Now we vote. For the first time in our recorded history, we vote on whether a victorious species lives or dies." The vote took 1 hour. Arguments raged. Some species insisted humans were too dangerous. Others claimed the ancient law must be honored. A few, like Ambassador Tira, argued that humanity represented the future. Finally, Mora called for the vote. "All in favor of honoring the ancient law and accepting humanity as equals among the galactic community?" Lights appeared across the chamber. Green for yes, red for no. Jake held his breath. Slowly, the light stabilized. 32 green, 18 red. The council has decided, Mora announced. Humanity has proven itself. You are recognized as equals. Your people may travel the stars freely. Welcome to the galactic community. Cheers erupted from some sections, silence from others. But it was done. Humanity had won. Jake and Emma returned to their team, exhausted, victorious, alive. We did it, Maria whispered. We actually did it. We survived, Jake corrected. Just like humans always do. Commander Rek approached them one final time. He moved slowly, still tired from the fight. I misjudged you. All of you. I thought strength meant power, size, direct combat. But watching your species, I learned something. Strength means adapting, surviving, protecting your own. Does this mean we are friends now? Emma asked with a small smile. Rek considered this. Then for the first time he smiled back. Friends? Perhaps not yet, but allies. Yes, the Talaxian Empire would be honored to stand beside humanity. We have much to learn from each other. As they prepared to return to Earth, Jake looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, human colonies waited for news. Earth waited for news. An entire species waited to learn if they could keep dreaming of the stars. Now they had their answer. The challenge was over. The test was passed. Humanity had earned its place not through being the strongest or the smartest or the fastest, but through being the most human, adaptable, creative, compassionate, stubborn, refusing to quit no matter the odds. And the galaxy would never underestimate them again, because when you challenge humanity, you do not face warriors or monsters. You face survivors. You face thinkers. You face a species that climbed from caves to stars through sheer determination. And no one, not even ancient empires that ruled for thousands of years, could stop that. The defender departed from the arena, heading home, carrying heroes, carrying hope, carrying the message that humanity belonged among the stars, not because they conquered, but because they earned it. The end.